Have you ever looked at someone you've known for years and suddenly felt something different? That moment when a familiar face somehow becomes new again, when the comfortable suddenly becomes exciting. Why is it that some friendships evolve into something deeper, something electric, while others remain just friendships? It's a transformation that seems almost magical, but there's nothing supernatural about it. What feels like chemistry is actually a series of subtle shifts in how you see each other, how you interact, and the space between you. Today, I want to explore those invisible lines we cross when friendship turns to attraction. The 5 shifts that change everything, often before we even realize what's happened. Shift number 1, from casual conversations to meaningful connection. Think about your regular friendships, the conversations you have, weekend plans, work complaints, that new show everyone's watching. Now think about conversations that create attraction. They're different, aren't they? When friendship begins to shift toward attraction, conversations evolve. They go deeper. You start sharing dreams instead of just weekend plans, fears instead of just daily frustration, the stories that shaped you rather than just the stories of your day. You were friends when you discussed what happened at work, but something changed when you started talking about why you chose your career in the first place, about what drives you. And it's not just what you talk about, it's how you listen. In friendship, we listen for information or entertainment, but when attraction begins to form, we listen differently. We listen for understanding. We become fascinated by their perspective, captivated by the way their mind works. You find yourself remembering small details they mentioned weeks ago. Their words stay with you long after the conversation ends. This kind of attentive listening is powerful. It says, "You matter to me, not just what you can do for me, but you, your thoughts, your feelings, your unique way of seeing the world." How do you create this shift? Ask questions that invite depth rather than simple answers. Share your own vulnerable truths. And most importantly, listen without waiting for your turn to speak. Listen like their words are a map to who they really are. Shift number 2, from group settings to one-on-one time. Friendships often exist within circles. They thrive in group settings, at parties, in team activities, in shared social space. But attraction needs exclusivity. It needs focused attention. It needs the gentle intimacy that can only exist when it's just the two of you. Think about it. In a group, you're a character in a larger story, but alone together, you become each other's entire narrative. When friendship begins transforming into attraction, there's a natural pull toward creating more one-on-one moments. Those, "Hey, want to grab coffee?" invitation, the conversations that continue long after everyone else has left. These private moments create a different kind of atmosphere. Without the social buffer of other friends, there's space for new kinds of energy to emerge. Eye contact lasts a little longer. Silences become charged rather than awkward. You become more aware of physical proximity, of gestures, of subtle signals. Creating this shift means being intentional about seeking one-on-one opportunity. Suggest activities that naturally lend themselves to pairs rather than groups. Find reasons to arrive early or stay late. Create contexts where you can discover each other anew without the familiar dynamics of your friendship group. But remember, this isn't about manufacturing fake reasons to be alone. It's about creating space for a different kind of connection to potentially emerge. Shift number 3, from predictable patterns to novel experiences. Friendship thrives on reliability, on knowing what to expect from each other, on comfortable patterns established over time. But attraction feeds on novelty, on surprise, on seeing new dimensions of someone you thought you knew completely. When a friendship begins evolving into attraction, there's often a catalyst, something that breaks the routine patterns of how you see each other, something that reveals them in a new light. Maybe you see them in a different context, excelling at something you never knew they could do. Maybe you experience something challenging together that reveals their character in ways everyday interactions never could. These novel experiences create a powerful neurological response. Your brain, experiencing something new, becomes more alert, more attentive, details become sharper, emotions become heightened, and in that heightened state, you see them differently. The friend who's always been just Jake from accounting suddenly becomes Jake, complex, surprising, and somehow magnetic when you see him confidently performing at an open mic night. The friend who's always been reliable becomes fascinating when you see her skillfully handling an unexpected crisis. These moments matter because they break through the categories we unconsciously place people in. They force us to update our mental models, to see them anew. Creating this shift means introducing novelty into your interaction. Suggest activities outside your normal routine. Create opportunities to see different sides of each other Be willing to be seen differently yourself, because sometimes attraction is simply what happens when we truly see someone for the first time, even if we've been looking at them for years. Shift number 4. From comfortable distance to intentional proximity. In friendship, physical boundaries are clear. There's an invisible buffer zone that rarely gets crossed. The casual hug hello or goodbye, the occasional touch on the arm for emphasis. When attraction begins to emerge, this physical grammar changes. The buffer zone shrinks. Touch becomes more frequent, more intentional, lingering a moment longer than friendship requires. It might start subtly, sitting a little closer than necessary, finding small excuses for contact, fixing their collar, touching their arm to emphasize a point. These moments of proximity create a feedback loop of attraction. Each brief contact sends signals to our brains that release neurochemicals, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, creating feelings of pleasure and connection. But this shift isn't just about physical proximity, it's also about emotional proximity, the willingness to be vulnerable, to let them see parts of yourself that others don't. Creating this shift requires courage. It means being willing to step just a little beyond the established boundaries of your friendship, not in a way that's invasive, but in a way that gently signals your changing feeling. It might mean sitting beside them rather than across, finding natural moments where touch makes sense in context, being more generous with your attention, your presence, your emotional availability. Small adjustments in proximity can spark profound shifts in how you relate to each other, but they must be offered as invitations, not imposition, always with respect for the other person's boundary. Shift number 5, from seeing potential to making intentions clear. The first 4 shifts can happen naturally, organically, as feelings evolve. But this final shift, from ambiguity to clarity, almost always requires a conscious choice. It's the moment when what's been unspoken becomes spoken, when what's been implied becomes expressed, when possibility transforms into reality. This is often the most frightening shift, the one that carries the greatest risk, because it requires stepping out of the safe harbor of friendship and into the uncertain waters of something more. In friendship, you can exist in the comfortable space of what if, indefinitely. You can enjoy the charge of attraction without the vulnerability of declaration. You can preserve the precious certainty of what you have by never reaching for what might be. But transformation requires courage. It requires being willing to name what's changing between you. This doesn't always mean a dramatic confession. Sometimes it's as simple as naming the energy you've both been feeling. Something feels different between us lately. Have you felt that too? Sometimes it's creating a context where your changing feelings can be expressed naturally. The key is clarity. Ambiguity may feel safer, but it rarely creates the conditions for genuine transformation. At some point, someone needs to gently name what's happening. When I reflect on relationships that successfully made this transition, I noticed that this moment of clarity often followed a period of the other shifts we've discussed. The deeper conversations had already happened. The one-on-one connections had been established. The novel experiences had created new ways of seeing each other. By the time words were spoken, they were simply confirming what both people already sensed was happening. These 5 shifts don't always happen in order. Sometimes they happen simultaneously, reinforcing each other. Sometimes one creates the conditions for another. And importantly, they aren't manipulations or technique. They're natural evolutions that happen when genuine attraction begins to emerge within a friendship. Not every friendship is meant to become something more. Sometimes these shifts will reveal compatibility you never noticed before. Other times, they'll confirm that friendship is where you're meant to remain. Both outcomes are valuable. The beauty of building attraction from friendship is that you're starting with a foundation of genuine care and knowledge of each other. You've already seen each other's rough edges. You already know important parts of each other's stories. That foundation creates the possibility for something rare, a relationship built on both the excitement of attraction and the stability of established connection. So if you've been feeling that shift, that subtle change in how you see someone who's been in your life as just a friend, know that you're experiencing something completely natural. The question isn't whether these shifts are happening. The question is what you'll choose to do about them. Will you stay in the comfortable harbor of friendship, or will you set sail towards something new, something unknown, something potentially beautiful? The choice, as always, is yours.